Hello, everyone. Welcome to this Share to Buy webinar with our guests, Catalyst, and special guests from Zoopla and Meridian. The eagle-eyed amongst you might notice that I am not actually Jade Turnstile, the usual presenter of our webinars. Unfortunately, Jade is a little bit under the weather, and I am filling in for her. So the good news is, though, I don't have to do too much of the talking, and we've got a really good panel of experts from within the industry today to take you through some of the most common questions that first-time buyers have and give their insight and expertise. So this is just before we get started, just to let you know, there's a few bits of housekeeping that you should be aware of. On the right-hand side of the screen, you will see a panel that has a chat functionality in there. If you have any questions for the Q&A session, put your questions into there and we'll try and get through as many as we possibly can towards the end of the session. Keep an eye out on the right-hand side as well, because we'll be putting up some offers, and also at the end of the presentation, we'll have some documents that you guys can download as well. So without too much of a further ado, it's my pleasure to introduce Catalyst, one of the UK's leading housing providers who provide homes in London and the home counties. Catalyst are on a mission to provide affordable housing and educate first-time buyers on home ownership, and they offer a diverse range of developments across London and the surrounding areas. Catalyst have developments with a mix of styles, layouts, finishes, tailored to the neighbourhoods they are part of, from boutique apartments in central London to transformative multi-phase regeneration projects and family homes in picturesque countryside villages across the home counties. Yeah, that was all off the top of my head. So I'm going to hand over to Sam, turn my camera off a little bit, and yeah, I'll leave you in the very capable hands of Sam and the rest of the guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Nick. Hi, everyone. So I'm Sam, and I'm the area sales manager at Catalyst, one of UK's leading housing associations. So our aim is to provide the perfect home for every buyer. So no matter where you are in your property journey, we have a home to suit you. Our purpose is to provide homes people love for all of our customers, regardless of tenure type, and to create communities and neighbourhoods that can flourish and grow. We often meet with first-time buyers who feel overwhelmed and confused about the home buying process, which is why we launched our Quiz Catalyst campaign to help answer some of these really important questions. So this evening, I'll be talking through 5 of our most frequently asked questions across the Quiz Catalyst campaign. Before opening up the floor to some questions from you, our viewers, that will be on hand to answer. Also joining me today is Alex from Zoopla and Kyle from Meridian Mortgages, who will also answer some of your questions. Over to you, Alex.
Hi everyone, thanks Sam. Yep, I'm Alex Rose. I'm the Director of New Homes at Zoopla. I'm sure you'll all be familiar with our website, and we work with about 2,500 developments across the country with a mixture of shared ownership sites, help to buy and an outright sale as well as rental. So really looking forward to being part of today.
Hi, I'm Kyle, one of the mortgage and protection specialists here at Meridian Mortgages. So as specialist new build mortgage advisors, we can find you the most suitable mortgage for you. And we've been helping our customers now buy their dream homes for just over 25 years. So we've got a fair bit of experience. So again, here to help with as many questions as we can today.
Thank you, Carl. So over the last few weeks, Catalyst has been welcoming first-time buyers to submit their property-related questions via a series of in-person events and digital platforms. We were at the London Home Show a couple of weekends ago and had lots of guests submit questions and ask queries that they weren't sure how else to find the information they were after. This brings me to the first question that we've been asked by a host of first-time buyers, which is, how do I choose between Help to Buy and shared ownership? Shared ownership and Help to Buy are 2 government-backed schemes that offer an affordable route onto the property ladder. Although the 2 both require a much smaller deposit compared to buying on the open market, there are several significant differences which could determine which scheme might best suit various circumstances as a first-time buyer. Share ownership. Shared ownership gives the buyers the opportunity to purchase a share of a home's value, only paying a deposit on the share that you purchase. This can be helpful as it requires a lower deposit and monthly income than buying on the open market or through Help to Buy. It can also open up the market in areas which buyers otherwise might not be able to afford, or can help purchasers afford an extra bedroom or some outdoor space. Once purchased, homeowners will pay a mortgage on the share they have bought and a subsidised rent on the remaining share. The total monthly cost usually works out cheaper than renting. Another government-backed scheme available, which is Help to Buy. In London, buyers can receive a Help to Buy loan of up to 40% of the cost of their newly built home, which will be interest-free for the first 5 years. Some buyers prefer this scheme as it allows them to purchase the home outright, rather than continuing to have to pay rent to a housing association. The 5% deposit option is still lower than buying on the open market, so it is a great option for purchasers who have smaller savings. Eligibility for the Help to Buy loan in the capital requires buyers to have a minimum of 5% deposit of the property's value, which cannot exceed the £600,000 mark and must be a new build. Once you have assessed your financial situation, mainly looking at the mortgage you are able to secure and the deposit you have available, you'll be able to ascertain whether shared ownership or Help to Buy suit your circumstances best. It can also be useful to get in touch with a financial advisor who will be able to help you decide between the top options based on your individual circumstances and preferences. Which brings us on to our second question, which is, how can I work out my budget and secure a mortgage? Which Carl from Meridian is going to help us answer.
Hi, Sam. Thanks. So our team of dedicated qualifiers can quickly determine your affordability. All it takes is a quick call, or alternatively, you can use our chatbot, which will give you an instant indication as to whether you are affordable or not. We'd then check your affordability with a lender to make sure that you're affordable and that everything checks out. And as long as everything's good to proceed, we'll then look to move on towards an agreement in principle. We'll then request your documents to make sure that everything matches up. And at that point, as long as everything matches up, you should be ready to reserve. Once reserved, we'd then put you with one of our specialist advisors who'll make sure that you're getting the best deal for you. Back over to you, Sam.
Thanks, Carl. It's also good for us to point out that Meridian is partnered with Catalyst, so our buyers can receive free and impartial mortgage advice from the Meridian team when purchasing a Catalyst home. Our third question that we get asked frequently is shared ownership just something for Londoners? Not at all. Shared ownership is available across the country, and we have lots of shared ownership developments outside of London. We have homes in Bedfordshire, Hertfordshire, Buckinghamshire, and Oxfordshire. So if you're looking for these areas, make sure you visit our website, which is catalyst.homes. We're also often asked whether shared ownership is only applicable towards apartments, which again isn't the case. As well as a variety of developments in different locations, we also offer a range of homes with different layouts, ranging from 1-bedroom studio apartments to 4-bedroom houses, meaning that through the affordable shared ownership and Help to Buy schemes, you can find the perfect home that suits your needs. So this one's for Alex, which is, what are the benefits of buying a new build?
Yeah, thanks, Sam. So the main ones we really hear are about energy efficiency, which of course is sort of on everyone's lips at the moment with the cost of fuel going up by the day, it feels. But also affordability is something that really attracts people towards new. And there's plenty of benefits that come alongside buying a new build. The key ones that we hear from consumers are the 10-year warranty. That, of course, gives you a bit of peace of mind against any, any issues or defects or anything like that. But, great that that's there as peace of mind, and you've got that security for the initial 10 years. But of course, buying options is a big one for people, and there's options such as shared ownership available when you're buying a new build that you just wouldn't get with a resale property. So many people often find themselves attracted to that because the deposits are lower, or the monthly payments means that you can afford to get into a brand new home. There's also the appeal of a new build, getting that brand new kitchen or brand new bathroom. It's nice to know that you've got fresh carpets and flooring, and you're the first person to get into that property. And a big one on energy efficiency, as I say, this is a real growing trend. We've seen lots of consumers interacting with the Zoopla website, and we also own and operate the U-Switch business, which you'll be familiar with for energy switching. And what we're seeing from the data is at the moment, actually 84% of new builds that were built last year were rated an A or a B on their energy performance certificate. You might be asking, well, what does that mean? Well, compared to second-hand homes, the average second-hand home, just 3% conform to an A or B standard. And what that means is you're projected in a new build to save about 52% a year on your energy costs. And to put that into a bit of perspective, the average medium-sized home, according to Ofgem, costs just under £2,000 a year to run these days in terms of electricity and gas costs. So saving 52% on that, you'd be saving about £1,000 a year on your energy costs alone, which is really, really fantastic. Other facts that you may want to know or not be aware of, actually looking at the 2021 data, a new home produces about a third of the carbon annually compared to an existing home, which means its carbon footprint is lower and it's better for the planet, which is great to hear. But also an interesting one that the average floor area of a new build is about 10% larger than existing properties, and that busts a few myths out there that new homes can be smaller. And then finally, a bit of a complex table there with some calculations done by our team. But actually, if you look at shared ownership and the income required to buy a 40% share, actually it's about 20% lower than if you were buying the equivalent home either outright or you just wanted to rent it. I'm sure you've all, for those of you in private rented, the cost of renting is very, very expensive, particularly in London and the southeast. So if you're able to get that deposit together and find the right shared ownership property, then of course you can actually afford to get onto the ladder and potentially live in a nicer property than if you were renting on the private rented market. So lots of reasons why people come to Zoopla and look for new build first as a really attractive option for them. Back to you, Sam.
Thank you, Alex. So on to our fifth and final question, which has been very popular throughout our Quiz Catalyst campaign, is how long does it take from your first inquiry through to moving into the property? So we're asked this question quite a lot, and it really does depend on the individual development that the customer is looking at, as well as personal circumstances. If the buyer is viewing a property that is ready to move in and has all of their finances in line, then sales can progress from first inquiry through to the completion in approximately 6 to 8 weeks. However, often when purchasing a new build, buying off plan is common practice. So with many developments selling entirely off plan, this gives buyers the opportunity to have their pick of the plots available, but can add time onto the completion process. So Catalyst will show customers floor plans in advance and often give a tour of a show home or marketing suite, giving buyers a feel for the quality of the build, the location, and the general site layout. When you do meet with the sales team, it is a good idea to ask for a rough timeline of key dates that the sales staff should be able to share with you. That way you can manage the time frame from your side and be aware of the dates that you need to have things ready for.
Thanks very much, guys. So hopefully the audience found lots of useful information there, but I can see from the questions that have been coming in that there's lots of questions that were unanswered too. So I'm going to start putting those to you. So first question that we've had through, I think this is probably for you, Sam, and possibly for Kyle. You mentioned that you guys work with Meridian, and one of the questions that we've had is do buyers have to use one of the recommended solicitors or mortgage advisors that you work with?
There's no requirement to. However, we would recommend using someone from our approved panel, as they can often help progress your sale faster than another company. They're likely to already be familiar with the development in question and may have helped buyers already in a similar position. Additionally, Meridian Mortgages offer their services free of charge, and they have access to mortgage deals across the entire market, including some exclusive products which aren't available in the open market. So they can help you find the very best mortgage deal for your circumstances.
Thank you. And we've also had a question regarding buying off plan. I think maybe if you could just maybe give us a little bit of an explanation of what that is and whether that's something you can do with Catalyst.
Of course it is. Yep, definitely something you can do with Catalyst. Buying off plan is a common practice when looking at new build homes, and is often the best option to ensure you have the pick of your plots, as many developments can actually sell entirely off plan. We'll be able to show you floor plans in advance and often give you a tour of a show home or marketing suite. So you can get a feel for the quality of the build, location, and the general site layout. So in a nutshell, it is definitely something we can offer.
Thank you. And I think this question, possibly indicates that, some of the issues that we have around some of the confusion with the different product types. But is it possible to use Help to Buy and shared ownership together?
Yeah, so I'll take that one, Nick. So in short, no. So you have to choose between the schemes. They can't be used together. The key difference between them is that with Help to Buy, you're purchasing the entire property, but with shared ownership, you're just purchasing a share. And you have the flexibility of buying larger shares in the future. So a financial advisor will be able to help you decide between the two options based on your financial situation and where you're looking to buy.
Cool. Thank you very much. I think every single time we've done one of these webinars, we've had the next question. So maybe it was the 6th most asked question in your Ask Catalyst quiz, potentially, Sam. So can I have a pet in a Catalyst home?
Yes, you can. We have a flexible pet policy. You can have a pet in nearly all of our developments. But however, obviously, if whatever development you are looking at, it's always worth triple checking with the sales team. But yeah, you can.
And yeah, I think it's probably just worth saying as well, it's, that will depend per development, per housing provider as well. So if it's something that's important to you, always best to ask the sales team that you're speaking to before you make the purchase. Next question, Alex, I think you may be the best suited for this one. How important is it to consider the wider property market when buying a first home?
Yeah, I think look, everyone wants to do the numbers and look at their individual circumstances, and we also, it's easy to be influenced by friends and family who might have gone through the same process or even the media, but I think there's a head and a heart moment, and so you've got to separate the financial decision making with what's right for you and your family, and the fact that it's a home that you're the average person in the UK, or the average length that we spend in our homes is about 21 years. So it's a long-term decision that's right for you and your family, rather than a pure financial decision. And so I think you've just got to separate the two and use both your heart and your head throughout the process. Yeah,
I think that's particularly pertinent with first-time buyers, really, isn't it? Who knows how your circumstances are going to change over the next few years. So, as long as you happen to live somewhere for a few years, you can see yourself putting down roots, then yeah, it's definitely something that you should consider.
I'd probably add to that. Sorry, Nick. I'd probably add to that it feels scary. If I put my shoes when I bought my first property, it felt really scary at first, and it feels far more normal in the long run. Once you get over that initial, then it becomes exciting, and it's a place to spend time with your friends and loved ones. Yeah, exactly. Kyle, next one for you, I think. Can you explain in a bit more detail what a mortgage in principle is?
Yeah, absolutely. So a mortgage in principle is it's an initial agreement with the mortgage lender saying that they're happy to lend you the funds, a certain amount of money, subject to a full mortgage application and seeing your documents. So at this point, it's just them saying, look, we can lend those funds to you, but we're going to need to do some more checks to definitively say yes, we can. So the mortgage in principle itself would be useful for you to reserve the property.
Thank you very much. And I'll throw this open to you guys. Help to Buy, is there anybody that can give us some information about how it differs in London to elsewhere in the country, please?
Yeah, I'm happy to cover that one. I mean, I think Sam touched on it briefly, but the main two differences are in London. they're both five, or wherever you are in the country, it's a 5% deposit down by the buyer. But in London, you get 40% through the government loan rather than 20% outside of London. So you get a bit more help in London, and that's relative to the property prices being higher. The other important factor to note is that in London the price cap is higher, so Help to Buy is eligible on homes up to 600,000, whereas outside of London there are regional price caps which can obviously impact what you can buy. And it's also worth noting that actually Help to Buy ends in March next year, which realistically means, and when I say ends, it means you have to complete your sale and be into the property by the end of March. So anyone looking to take advantage, if you like, of the Help to Buy scheme probably needs to do it this year. I think it would be too ambitious, and would run out of time if you're starting your journey in January.
Yeah, thank you. And just to sort of back that point up, there isn't an expiration date on the shared ownership scheme as of yet, and we don't anticipate one anytime soon. So, yeah, while Help to Buy may not be available as of April next year, shared ownership still will be, plus some of the other affordable schemes that are out there. Sam, this one is for you. It's actually a question that I've come up with, to be honest, but I know that Catalyst have recently merged with Peabody. So I just wondered how that is going to affect things, really, and what that means for the two businesses.
Yeah, obviously, Nick, as most people will be aware, from April this year, Catalyst entered a really exciting stage. So we joined Peabody Group as a subsidiary. This merger means that we've now formed one of the UK's largest home providers. So we'll be looking after and responsible for 104,000 homes and 220,000 residents across London and the southeast. So combining that with obviously our ethics, we will continue to create and maintain great homes whilst ensuring that our customers are, as always, the forefront of everything we do. So we are excited to see our plans for the upcoming year and the move ahead, and to continue to provide affordable housing and create exciting new communities.
Yeah, fantastic. Alex, I'm going to ask you to look into your crystal ball, if you don't mind, for this one. And you feel free to say that it's a little bit foggy and you don't have the answer. But we have a question. Is now a good time to buy, or is it worth waiting a couple of months or years for that matter?
Wow, thanks for that, Nick. I think that's called a hospital pass, isn't it? I think, look, fundamentally, it's hard sometimes to think about what's going on in the world versus what's going on in the housing market, and the two don't make a lot of sense very often. But the reality is that there's an undersupply of homes in this country, and you know, you don't need to be a sort of an expert economist to say that with an undersupply of homes and you know, above average demand, actually we don't foresee any, you know, major shifts in the housing market, certainly this year, and if not beyond. And I think, you know, the long run trends of property are that, you know, the house prices go up. They've been going up, you know, obviously for time immemorial. So it's hard to sort of say that there might be peaks and troughs in the market, but when there's a 21-year ownership average life cycle over 21 years, you should be confident that you know, it's a good decision. So it's about when's the right time for you. And I wouldn't be put off by what you read or trying to second guess what you might think happen in a few months' time.
Brilliant, thank you. Yeah, I think you did as best as possible you could do with that question. I think look, if anybody claims to have a sort of, you know, a definitive answer for that one, then, you know, take it with a pinch of salt, I would say. But that is why it's always worth having a chat with some of the experts. And Kyle, I guess somebody can come to a mortgage broker like yourselves and get a real understanding of their affordability and really sort of make a better judgment of whether now is the right time to buy, you know, whether they should be stretching themselves to the absolute maximum, or, you know, what is a realistic amount for them to afford.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you know, like I say, have a chat with one of our sort of our mortgage qualifiers. They'll be able to give you that guide, and like I say, they'll be able to talk you through the options available to yourself as well. So if it's a case of actually shared ownership's the best option for you now, then, you know, that's what we'll say. But again, if alternatively you can afford Help to Buy, you know, we'll point you down that direction. So we'll always do our best to sort of help with the situation and make sure that we're giving you the best advice to your circumstances.
Thanks very much. We've had a question apart from the deposit, what other costs should buyers be aware of around the sort of moving period? Stamp duty, legal fees, etc.
I'll take that one, Nick. So yeah, obviously your initial costs, well, the benefits of using Kyle at Meridian Mortgages, you won't have your costs to a mortgage broker. You may have a product fee, if I'm right in saying, Kyle.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And you'll have your legal costs. So you'll have your solicitor fees to pay, and as you mentioned there, Nick, stamp duty. If over a certain amount for shared ownership, you'll also have stamp duty to pay, but that will be discussed with your mortgage broker or your solicitor. Other than that, you'll not a major amount of upfront cost.
Yeah, and I think with the, I mean, we generally tend to see, you know, roughly between £4,000 or £5,000 on top of your deposit is necessary to have for your moving costs, but obviously that can differ per purchase. Also, probably worth saying that with shared ownership, you know, in the majority of cases, of course, there's cases when it's different, that you're not really liable for stamp duty with that initial first purchase, depending on the size of the share and the value of the share, obviously. Next question. So this is probably one for Sam and Kyle, I would say. So we've got a question from somebody who's already secured a mortgage, I guess through a different broker, I think, and they've asked the question, you know, why do they then have to go through the affordability check again? You know, what I suppose that's more for security on your side of things. Is that correct?
Yeah, so for our side, it's security and compliance, making sure it stacks up and it fits within our affordability, and with the shared ownership side of things, just to make sure it stacks up with your rent, your service charge, and the mortgage amount.
Yeah, I'll echo what Sam says there. You know, it's just making sure that, you know, when we're doing our checks, we'll ask just who you've got your decision in principle with, make sure that it does stack up and nothing's been missed. You know, in the past, we've sort of seen people, as Sam will sort of know from experience, we've had people come along with their decision in principle, but actually something simple like the rent and the service charge hasn't actually been factored into the affordability, and it doesn't actually fit. So it's more of a check just to make sure that obviously we've got everything right, and obviously the client themselves obviously isn't going to be disadvantaged at any point. Just saves any issues further down the line for everyone.
Thank you. Question about the sales process. When does a purchaser actually pay the deposit on the property?
So the property, the deposit, the main deposit will be paid on exchange of contracts. The initial cost will be a reservation deposit. So on shared ownership, for example, would be the £500. So they'll pay that once they pass the affordability checks. They'll reserve the property. That will enable them to start the process with us, start the process with the mortgage broker and the solicitors, and remove the property from the market. And then the main 10% or 5% deposit will be paid on exchange of contracts. So a little bit further down the line.
Yeah, thank you very much. Once I've registered interest, how is the list selected? Is it first come, first serve? So how, you know, if you've got 10 people applying for the same shared ownership property, what's the process in terms of selecting who is offered that property?
I wish we had that luxury at the moment, Nick, to select out of the 10 people, but it's more on a first come, first serve basis at the moment. So once you've seen the property, you've made your interest, you've passed your affordability check, then we can select yourself to reserve that property.
Thank you. And I have a property abroad. Does this mean I cannot use shared ownership?
Correct.
Yeah. So it's for when we talk about first-time buyers with shared ownership, what we mean is somebody who doesn't currently own any properties. So it's somebody,
not necessarily first-time buyers, but you can't own a property. It can't be in your name.
Exactly, and that whether that's here or abroad, or whether you partially own a property with family members or anything like that, it's to purchase a shared ownership property, you cannot currently be a homeowner.
Correct.
Okay, I'm just having a quick look through. Is shared ownership open to British citizens only, or can an Irish citizen, or for that matter, any other citizen apply?
Ooh, Kyle?
Yeah, so absolutely. So
mortgage side?
Yeah, no. It's open to everyone. So as long as you sort of meet the lender criteria, each lender has different sets of criteria. So there will be sort of some lenders that say you need to have indefinite leave to remain. Some that will sort of say, you need to have been in the UK for sort of 2 years. As long as you meet that criteria, then we can certainly consider it. So again, it's always worth a chat. So always, it's always worth giving our help desk a call, and they'll be able to sort of guide you on your specific circumstances.
Thank you. And bear with me one moment. I think this is a nice, easy one for you, Kyle. Do you get charged to speak to a financial advisor?
Absolutely not. All of our advice is completely fee-free.
Thank you. And we have a question about staircasing here. If you staircase to 100%, do you get the freehold with the Catalyst property? I think that will depend on...
No, still remain on as a leasehold, yeah.
Yeah.
If you're buying a leasehold, yeah.
Quick question here. What is the minimum percentage currently required when purchasing share ownership?
So it's still at 25% as a minimum share. And if I'm right in saying, Kyle, I believe potentially looking at a new shared ownership scheme where it will be reducing slightly.
Yeah, so it will be sort of looking to reduce down at 10%. I think that's still a little bit work in progress in areas now.
Yeah, there's a handful of properties I think that have come to market at the 10% share, but still it'll be judged on what is the maximum affordable share for the purchaser, won't it? Okay, I think we're kind of coming to an end to the questions. So I'll just ask each of the presenters, how they can find out more information about your companies. So I'll just go clockwise from my screen. So Alex, I'll go to you first.
Yeah, thanks, Nick. So obviously zoopla.co.uk, and we've got some really helpful buying guides on there as well. So if you sign up and register, have a look out for our first-time buyer guides, which talk to you about all of the trials and tribulations of buying your first property. So some good consumer advice there.
Thank you very much. And Sam?
Yeah, so same as Alex. Obviously, we've got catalyst.homes, which will be your main link to our direct website, and then various different developments will also feature on Zoopla, Rightmove, and various other websites, Share to Buy like yourself. So, but the main portal will be catalyst.homes.
Thank you. And Kyle, I've put in the files on the right-hand side of the screen a couple of leaflets for Meridian if people want to get in touch. But yeah, just want to give us some information about how they can contact you.
Yes, absolutely. So if you go onto our website, which is meridianmortgages.net, that will have all our sort of contact details on there. And like I say, we'll have the phone number for the team as well. So like I say, give them a call. They're there 7 days a week, and they're there sort of every day, sort of 10 till 6. So we're there every day to help.
Thank you very much, guys. And yeah, obviously everybody can find out information about being a first-time buyer, about affordable home ownership on the Share to Buy website too. Lots of guides, lots of properties on there to help you through the journey. Guys, thanks very much. It's been really helpful. Thanks everybody for joining us. We will be putting a recording of the session up onto the Share to Buy website tomorrow. But yeah, until the next time, thanks very much and see you again. Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.